Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, SchuZ Shoemaker. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning into today's show. To start off today's show, I've got a very special guest joining me. He's a member of the All Big Ten Honorable Mention from 2025, Big Ten All-Tournament team in 2025. He also was a Big Ten All-Freshman team in 2024, and that's Wisconsin star John Blackwell. John, appreciate taking time to come on today, man.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're back on campus now, and that kind of concludes what's been quite the hectic past couple of months of the season wrapped up. You went the NBA draft process. Obviously, I know your decisions to make and all those type of things. To have a decision affirmatively made, how does that feel?
Feels good. I think I picked the decision that was best for me, but it was a great experience. One of the best experiences I've had in my life, and I just want to continue to grow and learn from it.
When you set out for this offseason, you knew that you're going to go through the NBA draft process. You're going to go all these different things. Did you accomplish? Did you get done everything that you wanted to get done in this experience?
I feel like I did.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I definitely got better. That was the main goal, was just getting better. So I
Okay.
think I did.
When you came to your decision and you were looking at this overall process to go to the NBA draft, was your ultimate decision to say, I want to get better, I want to see where I stack up, and probably with the hopes of going, maybe next year or this other thing, or were you kind of going all in on this year's draft when you entered it?
Yeah, when I entered, I was all in.
Okay.
Whatever I heard um, from the scouts, from GM, it's all in. Because if you're not all in for something, then
Mm-hmm.
you're not trying to expect results. Then I was just all in, trying to get better, trying to compete with whoever I was in the workouts.
Would you say has been the biggest thing that you learned or took away from your NBA draft process experience?
I think just the spacing and the flow of the game. Obviously, it's a paced game, but you gotta be able to play with your own pace, and the game comes with a lot of spacing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to create for yourself, and just be consistent with what you do. Um, that's how you can make it. That's how you can make money, especially if you're not a star player. You can be consistent with what you do. That's how you get paid.
You obviously are coming off of an incredible sophomore season. You could have set yourself up, obviously, go down that path if you so chose to, but you're returning this year now. Why the decision that you made?
I feel like there's things I haven't accomplished in college yet. There's things I definitely want to accomplish, and I'd say I want to boost my stock. I want to be a first rounder next year, and I just want to keep getting better. Um, and ultimately, I just want to win.
Mhm.
Fell short of my goal, but yeah, I want to win. Be cemented in Wisconsin history forever.
Obviously, now your goal would probably be try to go to the NBA draft next season. What would it be for you to say, you know what, I'm ready for that jump? What do you think you need to improve on, get ready to? Like, what would give you that confirmation of saying, you know what, I'm ready to make that jump now?
Honestly, I think just playing more athletic above the rim,
Okay.
being a better point guard, cutting down the turnovers, just consistent shooting. And most importantly, my defense. Just being consistent, pass on defense, and be consistently locking guys up.
I also want to get into another aspect, and there was a lot of rumors going on because while you're going through that process, obviously the transfer portal is going on, and you being one of the top overall returning players heading into college basketball next season, I know there were a lot of people trying to go after you. What was it like balancing that whole aspect?
Well, first of all, I shut everything down.
Okay.
It was either NBA or come back to Wisconsin. Um, there was no thought really about leaving. Um, and just had to get everything situated in Wisconsin. I was in constant contact with them, my coaches, and they knew it was either come back or go to the league.
There was an interesting quote, and I think it came from your dad or somebody that was a part of your circle. It said, one school said to him, we're disappointed that you didn't put your name in the portal. I told them, you tell them we're disappointed you didn't recruit me out of high school. Take us through that a little bit and just realizing that you were in this position now where obviously coaches wanted you, programs wanted you, but you want to stay loyal to Wisconsin. What about you said, you know what, that's the route I'm going to go?
They recruited me from the jump.
Right.
Um, they showed me love from the jump, and there's everything and more um, in my time being there.
I also wanted to ask you this component too, because NIL has obviously become a very big storyline in college basketball. Did that have a massive impact in this decision, knowing that you would be able to make a good amount of money coming back, or what impact does NIL have for you?
I mean, it's a great impact to take care of my family, obviously,
Right.
um, and just enjoying college basketball when I'm doing it. Um, so it definitely played an impact and just making sure my family's straight.
If we were to go back 5, 6 years ago, and there wasn't an NIL opportunity, would that have made the decision a little bit different had that not been on the table?
Um, honestly, no.
Okay.
I honestly was trying to see what the best situation for me. Personally, I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Um, that's what I think. But it's just the best decision for me and my family. Um, what I could do. Um, to me, it was a win-win situation.
Okay.
I either stay in the draft um, and live out my dreams, or I come back another year um, and do it again next year.
Well, John, I want people to get to know your story because it's a very unique story. When you talk about just overall your high school career and coming into college, a lot of people did not expect you to become the player that you are today. So I want people to get to know your story and how you became who you are today. And so we head back, growing up out there in Michigan. What was that like?
Sorry.
All good.
Growing up in Michigan was definitely like maybe the basketball player I am today. Growing up in Detroit, just like playing a whole bunch of guys, it was very fun. My aging team, the family, a great program. I had so much fun growing up, and I was just around basketball my whole life.
Mm. Your dad played collegiately. He played at Illinois. Having him in your life be able to impact you and teach you about the game of sports, how has that been? How big has that been for your basketball journey?
Oh, man, huge. He keeps me humble. He keeps me grounded. Obviously, myself, like I have those traits about me, but like he always, gives me verses or things throughout the day, um,
Mm,
and just constantly just try to grow my faith. As I moved to college, I tried to do it better up here,
mm.
and it's just a constant, just like basketball, it's a constant grind to grow your faith.
I want to get into that with you because I know that going through your social media, you are a believer, and I love that about you and how vocal you are about your faith. And so you kind of alluded to that there. Your dad kind of implemented that a little bit when you're younger, and obviously you've taken that and ran. When would you say your relationship with Jesus really started? Like, when did you really start to grow in your faith with Him?
I would say my 11th grade,
Okay.
10th grade year, when COVID hit. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I was doing nothing in my room. I just started praying more, started reading the word more, and then just growing from there. Especially coming in my freshman year, like I gotta find my own church,
Mm,
and I don't have my parents to get me up to go to church. So I gotta do it on my own. So stuff
right.
like that.
And that's what's huge about it because I know a lot of people might grow up in a household of faith, but obviously it eventually becomes your own situation where you have to take on those duties on your own stuff and kind of make it your own personal relationship. And so when you got to campus, was that something that you were kind of motivated to do right out the gate? Or what kind of pushed you to start growing your own personal relationship with him then at that point?
It's something I thought about right from the gate, thanking
Okay.
God for even blessed me to be in this situation. And then I had teammates around me that just motivated me to grow my faith even more.
Mm.
Um, my teammates are big believers. So yeah.
How awesome is having a locker room and teammates that you kind of relate to on something bigger than basketball with?
Oh, it's amazing. That's kind of what makes us brothers for life.
Right.
Um, so yeah.
The other aspect I wanted to ask you about is that you are very vocal about your faith. And that's something that I know a lot of guys out there are obviously believers, but not a lot of them are going to be as vocal as you are. What's given you the motivation to say, you know what, I want to go out there and preach the word and be the light in this world?
Obviously, I have people that look up to me.
Yeah.
I have people that watch my page, and I have people that um, don't know Jesus.
Mm.
And I have a good amount of following. So if I can share that and touch one person a day, that I'm pretty much accomplished.
When you talk about having the impact in the role, and for people that are not believers listening to this, why would you say, out of your own personal experience, how would Jesus help you get to the point you're at today, and why should they help put their faith and trust in Jesus?
Um, honestly, I would say you wouldn't be here without them.
Mm.
Honestly, just makes your life better. makes your life more peaceful. If you don't have anybody to talk to, he's a great person to talk to. Um,
Absolutely.
and honestly, it's got to be consistent. You know, um, sometimes we all fall short, but
Mm.
if you just have that constant faith that God got me, then you're gonna be good.
Amen, man. Well, John, I want to get back into your basketball career. And so you're growing up out there in Michigan. As you said, you've always had basketball be a part of your life. When did you realize that, you know what, this is something that I can be successful in? This could be something that I have even aspirations, not only collegially, but possibly even NBA or pro dreams. When did those start to settle in for yourself?
I would say, I would say my freshman year, like
Okay.
that, it kind of set a reality. Like I can really be a pro.
Okay.
Obviously, I think about it as a kid, like I want to go pro, but
Mhm.
when it set into reality, it's honestly my freshman year. So,
Okay. When you were going through high school, as you alluded to a little bit earlier, you had the COVID issue, and that obviously could be a reason for some of the recruitment stuff that you went through.
yeah.
When you talk about that, obviously it's ended up working out fine. God took care of that, and it obviously worked out great. But how would you say during that standpoint, was that easy for you, hard for you, or what was it like going to that standpoint where you had to deal with the whole COVID recruiting process?
Um, it was honestly frustrating at one point because I saw
Hmm.
players that I know I was better than, or I know I played against them, and
Hmm.
it was at one point I was like, "What am I doing wrong?" Um, but honestly, like I was happy with my recruitment.
Okay.
I know I would have got more offers if I didn't commit so early.
Hmm.
But it's not about how many offers you get. You can only go to one school at the end of the day.
Right.
So, yeah.
When you were at that standpoint, you end up finishing up with 9 Division I offers, at least publicly that we know about. What was going through your mind in terms of the aspect of looking at other people? You said that you obviously knew you were better than some other guys, but did you know at that point that you were a guy that should have been a top 100, maybe top 50 or higher even type recruit, or did that come a little bit later on when you got to college?
Yeah, I've never cared about rankings.
Okay.
My dad preached to me when I was younger. Uh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like some of the top guys that are performing in the NBA right now were never ranked or even unranked. So
Yep.
to be ranked is just it was a blessing, but we never looked at the rankings. Me and my crew, we never looked at rankings and cared about it.
I think that is a huge thing because knowing a lot of guys that go through the high school recruiting process, rankings become the end all be all for a lot of guys. And that obviously sometimes obviously works out and they do pan out to have great careers. Others don't have a situation. What about that in your family and how big was it to have a dad that knew what he was talking about, knew that, okay, rankings don't need to be a big focus, just work on getting ready for college?
Um, yeah, I mean, like as a young kid, he never even thought about rankings.
Hmm.
The ranking kids now is second grade, so uh, and people who do the rankings, obviously they know basketball, but they can be wrong. Like
Right.
anybody else, they can be wrong. And it's hard to rank. You know, it's sometimes hard to rank kids when you never seen them. And I don't see too many guys from the state I'm. Sorry, my dad called me,
You're good.
but from the state I'm from, at least, be ranked high. I mean, the last two were Darius Acuff and Trey McKinney.
Right.
Sorry, my dad called me again.
You good. You
Can you
fin-
hear
cut
me?
off, yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, it cut off right there where you said A cuff and then Trey and then it cut out.
Let me just open this door real quick. Hold
All
on.
right, sounds good.
Sorry, just want to get more light in here.
You're
Yeah,
good.
like Acuff and McKinney were that I think of were the last two guys ranked in the top 25
Right.
um, coming out of high school for Michigan.
So what I wanted to ask you is, if I were to know you and we were to have a talk, right then when you're junior, senior year, right when you obviously were guys right outside the top 100, those type of things, and I would have said, hey, John, you're going to be an all honorable mention for the Big Ten, and possibly, in my opinion, you might be an All American this upcoming season. Is that something that you believed you were going to accomplish at that point in time?
Honestly, to think about it, I wasn't even thinking about at the time. I was just trying to
Okay.
get better day by day. Um, but when you just work and not worry about the external stuff, the external awards, they
Mm.
come. When you help your team win, they come.
All
So
right.
I was just worried about that. My 12th grade year coming into college, I just wanted to win. Like I just wanted to
Mm.
help my team win. I want to be involved with winning.
Okay.
So yeah.
So let's get hop into that recruiting process then. 91 offers. You choose Wisconsin over VCU, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Oakland, Cleveland State, Rhode Island, Toledo, Northern Illinois. What was it about Wisconsin and Coach Greg Gard that won you over?
Well, first of all, they're my only high major.
Fair
Um,
enough, yeah.
so I knew I wanted to play high major. I knew how good I was. Um, but a lot went into my decision. I was either going to Wisconsin or I was either going to Loyola Chicago.
Okay.
Those are my two that I was considering. So yeah. And what made it different, Wisconsin was just I wanted to commit on the spot when I took my first
Okay.
visit, but my dad was like, "You got to take more visits, buddy."
Well, I have to ask about Coach Greg Gard because I feel like he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country, and especially when it comes to guard development. We look at the track record he's had. You look at Johnny Davis, AJ, Tone J, yourself now. He seems to get some of these guards, and a lot of them are not coming out of high school as these elite prospects. These are guys that he develops and grows into year one, year two, year three, whatever it is. What about Coach Greg Gard it makes him so special? How does he keep doing this over and over again?
I think it makes sense because he's a realist. He keeps it
Mm,
real all the time. He tells you what you got to get good at, um, and then you go work at it. And he constantly just pushes you to be better on and off the court.
okay.
And then the support staff around him helps you every day. But he just focuses on your game and try to improve. Obviously, you can add a few things to your game, but we're trying to fine tune the things you do really well and make those shine. So he does a really good job of that, and putting players in the right spot. And honestly, there's you name that list, but there's guys like Matt Cousin who's got better, Kamari
Mm,
McGee who shot it
yeah.
better this year, Jack Janicki who's getting better. So there's more guys that he's
Hmm.
developed that kind of slip under the radar, but
Right.
he's definitely helped them.
When you look at your best stories with Greg Gard at this point in time, what would you say has been your favorite story with him?
Um, my favorite story was I think when we beat Purdue last my freshman year.
Hmm.
Um, and then I saw him and gave him a hug. It was a big win for us for sure because they beat us twice
Right.
that year. And it was two close ones. Like we was right there, but we lost them. And I don't know, they were number two in the country at the time or something like that.
Hmm.
But it was a good win for us, and it got it on photo. We hugged each other.
How about him outside of basketball? Because we can only see him so often, as a coach, what he's doing, those type of practice things. But you get to spend time with him outside of basketball, off the court. What is his personality like? What is he, Coach Greg Gard, like outside of basketball?
He could be a quiet guy sometimes, but
Hmm.
he's a good person overall. He makes sure that everybody's good. Um, he cracks some jokes from here and there. But yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's a great coach. You can tell he loves you to death. Um, and he's a guy who has a lot of knowledge. He's been around basketball for a long time.
Hmm.
And he has a lot of knowledge we can use on and off the court.
I was heading to your freshman season. That year, you go into a team that has AJ Storr, Chucky Hepburn, two guys that lead at the guard spot originally. You're that freshman that comes in there, but you get to learn from both those guys. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing, especially learning from Chucky how to be an elite defender and how to um, find your niche with defending guys, trying to find guy tendencies. So it was definitely fun being behind those guys. And then AJ, that's my guy. He's hilarious. But yeah, just seeing the way he scores the ball and how athletic he is and how he's physical, uses his body. It was great learning from him too. And I hope both of them guys, AJ is going to Ole Miss.
Right.
I'm praying he has a great year next year. Um, and I know he will because I know how good he is. And
Hmm.
then Chucky, I'm hoping the team takes a chance on pretty much the best, to me, one, if not the best, but one of the best on-ball defenders in the draft.
Yeah.
For him to win ACC Defensive Player of the Year at maybe 6 foot,
Mm-hmm.
6'1". So yeah.
You talk about AJ right there, and I 100% agree with that. I think when you talk about it, just wasn't the right fit at Kansas for a little bit there. I think he has a chance to break out next year at Ole Miss and be one of the top guys again. When you see that, how good of a fit do you think he's going to be at Ole Miss, and what can people expect from him next year?
Um, Honestly, he's just a raw athlete, man. You just gotta let him play.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, when you do that, you see how good he is.
Yeah.
There's obviously some things that we all he needs to work on, but I haven't talked to him, but I know he's a gym rat, so he's probably in the gym working. Like he knows the stuff he has to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, that's basketball, man. You're gonna have an off year some years. So I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't go right at Kansas, but that's all part of God's plan. He's gonna have an amazing year at Ole Miss.
When you talk about yourself that freshman season, some guys would say, okay, I'm coming off the bench, it's not exactly what I wanted, so on and so forth. From you, though, you were a very valuable aspect to that bench. And on top of that, it seems like you learned a lot. Like you embraced that role and you said, you know what, maybe it's not my year to be the guy, one of the guys yet, but I'm going to soak in as much as I possibly can to get ready. What gave you that mentality for that year?
Well, I think freshmen have the wrong mindset of coming into college thinking they're gonna be the man.
Right.
Probably not. If you're not Cooper Flag, if you're not Dylan Harper, I'm just kidding you. Kind of keep it real. You got to find your role and be really good at your role. Who
Mm.
say you can't be one and done as a freshman being really good at your role? So
Hmm.
yeah, that's how
Can
I
you,
came in. That mindset.
can you elaborate on the role component a little bit more? You talk about in the very beginning when you talk about the NBA aspect, but that is something that so many guys don't necessarily value. They want to be a guy that just goes out there and scores a bunch of points, and there's only so many guys that can have that job in the NBA. You
Yeah,
talk about accepting and embracing that role. How have you learned that, and why is that such a critical component for basketball players?
I mean, especially going to the NBA. I mean, they paying guys $50 million to score the ball. So
Yeah.
you got to come in, you got to play off them, and you got to be able to contribute. Because those guys getting paid now. Like you're seeing guys like Nemhard or
Mm-hmm.
um, Caruso that are values, and their teams don't win games. They don't do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to value that and grow in that. Obviously, you can go play a role, and you never know. You can be a star player after playing that role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think we've had a great mixture of both, being a role player my freshman year,
Yeah.
and then now being the man, the go-to guy.
When you talk about yourself, and obviously, you want to make the NBA jump eventually, what do you see as that role for yourself? Like, obviously, you might grow and develop that over time, but to get minutes your rookie year in the NBA, what do you think that role is that you really want to emphasize and almost perfect in a way?
I think my ability to create for myself and others would
Agree.
be
Yeah.
a great aspect. And then obviously my defense.
Hmm.
I'm a very physical defender. Um, and I can just versatile with defense, guard 1 through 3. Just be a pest on defense. And I feel like I'm one of the best guard rebounders out there. Like I just love rebounding.
Hmm.
I was taught at a young age, what can you do to impact the game without scoring? So I think I do a good job of that.
Yeah.
Um, there's been games where I've had double doubles, and there's been games where I've had 12 points but 9 rebounds. So I think that's a big key for me to just impact winning without scoring.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's hop into your most recent season. You head into the year, and obviously AJ transfers out, as does Chucky. We know there's going to be more moments there and open up for yourself. Did you know in the back of your mind that this was going to be a breakout season for yourself, or did this even shock you with how good you were last year?
Well, I just knew I was coming along. I said I'm just going out there and hooping.
Mm-hmm.
I put in so much hard work over the off season going into that year. I had a great summer. Um, Obviously, for me personally, I think I could have been better this year.
Okay.
Um, but it's a growing point. You have to grow from it and learn from it. I got I was thrown into a role of the point guard, just being the main point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thank Coach Guard and Coach KB for giving me that, because that helped me grow. That helped me realize how to be a great PG at the college level and what I have to do, how to lead a team, how to be the leader on the court, the coach on the court. So yeah.
I remember back, it was Big Ten Media Day, and Coach Greg Gard said, you know what? There's a lot of flashes with the way you were performing last summer that remind him of Johnny Davis. And obviously, you made quite the jump your sophomore season. When you talk about the mentality of working out and working hard, and even talk with Coach Greg Gard, was that something that he even talked to you about and said, hey, John, we know that you have the capabilities of being the guy this year, one of the guys. Was that something that you had a conversation of before the season?
Yeah, I mean, he called me as soon as those guys transferred, um,
Okay.
and told me like, you gotta be our guy. Um, and he just, I feel like he trusted me. I feel like I gained this trust during my freshman year. And that's always a great feeling when you have your coach's full trust that,
Mhm.
you know, he can count on you to do what you need. If you need me to go rebound, if you need me to go score, make a play. He trusts me, I'm gonna do it.
I want to talk about your dynamic duo man from last year, John Tonje. He went out there and, you look at obviously his career. I thought he was going to be a good fit. I didn't think, I'll be lying if I said I thought he was going to be the type of guy he was last year, but still, I thought he was going to be a really, really good player when he came in from Mizzou. You two formed quite the dynamic duo last year. What was it like playing alongside him?
Oh, it was great. It was better off the court, honestly. He's a great person. He's a great human being, man. Like the conversations, the late night conversations we had about, just our dreams and aspirations and our fate. Um,
Mm.
Honestly, he's one of the best teammates I've ever had. I'm gonna miss playing with him for sure. But then on the court, yeah, he did some stuff that, you know, that was just crazy, like
Yeah.
dunking on people, shooting clutch threes. Like he's gonna go down as one of the greatest Badger players. I feel like that's
Hmm.
come through in recent history. They're gonna call him the Russell Wilson of hoops for Wisconsin Badgers.
He's obviously going through the NBA draft process. He's obviously going to wait his future. Obviously, the next, what is it now, week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever it is, to draft day. When you talk about that, and whatever team picks him up, whatever way that's going to look like, what are they going to be getting at him?
Oh, first of all, they're gonna get an amazing human being, a great locker room guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything off the court with him. Um, he's going to be a joy to be around. And then on the court, you're going to get a knockdown shooter whose shot looks the same every single time, whether contested or not. Then you're going to get a competitor. He's an ultimate competitor. Um, I know he loves to score the ball, but he loves competing and winning. He doesn't care how he does it. I remember there was one game, USC. He had 0 points. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't play a lot, but he didn't have an attitude. He was happy we won. And then the next game, he comes out against UCLA and he does what he was doing. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get a guy who doesn't pout, complain, and he's just going to compete every single night.
What was your favorite memory? Would that be on or off the court with John last year?
Favorite memory with John, honestly, trying to think. Honestly, just going to church with him.
I
That
love
was
it.
a good memory. And then a good memory was he's a big UFC guy, so when he got to meet Khabib, and I saw him meet all these UFC guys, I never seen him happy like that in my life. He was more happy to meet those guys than almost winning Big Ten Player of the Year. So yeah.
So you guys went to the UFC then together then, if I'm guessing?
No, we went. Yeah, we was in when we was in LA. The
Okay.
UFC was in LA, and
Right. The
they
one in
were at the
January
same
then?
hotel as us.
The January one?
Yeah, it was in Jan.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what's up. Well, John, I want to get into this upcoming season. We already talked about the fact you're coming back. You are going to solidify yourself now as one of the great Wisconsin players as well. You look forward to this junior season, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen yet, but on paper, you're going to be the go-to guy. A lot of people are highly anticipating your season. How are you approaching this junior year now?
Just being a great leader,
Hmm.
and just trying to do what it takes to help my team win. I mean,
Okay.
I have my personal goals that I want to accomplish, but yeah, just doing whatever it takes to help my team win and um, get over that hump and make a great run of the tournament.
If I were to ask you your top 5 goals this year, team, yourself, growth, what you're going to develop, and so on and so forth, What do you want to get out of the season? Your top 5 things.
First of all, the national championship will be number
Right.
one on the list. Second will be Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
Third would be Big Ten regular team championship.
All right.
Um, fourth would be anything. Fourth would be get the Final Four,
Okay.
and then my last one, um, be All American.
I like
For
it.
myself, I'll give myself one. Try to be
All
an All
right.
American.
I like it, man. When you talk about this next aspect where you are going to be the vocal point, a lot of people look at, is there any pressure that comes with that, or how do you handle that component?
The man upstairs, God.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I get nervous sometimes for games, but
Right.
it's all I got, man. He takes care of the pressure.
I love that answer. Okay, a couple things before I let you go, John. One of which is we do look at this roster. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different now. Some guys moved on, some guys returning, and obviously, he has added in some great pieces too. And it's still early on the offseason. But from what you know so far at this point in time, how excited should fans be for this roster?
They should be really excited. I haven't got to meet everybody yet, but
Right.
me personally, I don't judge people off what their film says or their high school tapes. Pretty
Mm,
much judge them when they get to campus and we get to playing.
okay.
So that's how I see how good they are. Because obviously you're watching highlights of them. You're
Good
not
point.
really seeing them. If I haven't played against them, then I don't really know how their games are.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you guys should be. I've met Nick Boyd. I play with Nick Boyd, so you guys should. Bad fans are gonna love Nick Boyd.
Agree.
He's a dog. Um, so yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, John, my final question I want to wrap up with is the same question like wrapping every single interview up with, and that's talking about your legacy. Eventually, you're going to move on from Wisconsin. In the greater scheme of things, you're going to move on from basketball as a whole. When that day does come, what do you want to be remembered for what you've accomplished, both inside and off the court?
I just want to be remembered as one of the greats that came through Wisconsin. Like
Mm,
just a great teammate, a great person, um, on and off the court. Like when fans or supporters, supporters talk about the Badger players, I want them to say any interaction we had with Jonathan was a great interaction.
mm,
So that's how I want to be remembered. Um, I honestly want to be. I obviously want to be an All American. I want to be a player there that you know accomplished a lot and
right.
gets my name put up in the rafters. I'm praying for that. But if it's not that, it's okay because I know they showed so much love to their alumni, and the alumni comes back and supports us. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, John, I appreciate you taking time to come on in, man. It's been an honor and blessing having you on here, and I cannot wait to see what God's got in store for you, man. Of
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
course, you're always welcome on, man. Keeping the line. God bless, brother.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in to today's show. I'm going to have that clipped up, edited out in the very, very couple next probably hour or two, and then I'll get that posted so you guys can go check it out if you guys were not live to see it. Appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Have an incredible weekend, and I will see you guys back on Monday. Shoes out. God bless you guys.